Dashboards have limited space, which is why tables that allow you to scroll and sort are super handy. They enable us to embed an extract of data from a larger table in our dashboard. Users can then scroll to see the records and toggle which column to sort by and set the sort order. In this video, I'm going to use dynamic array formulas, which are available in Excel 2021 and 365. If you don't have dynamic arrays, there is an alternate solution for earlier versions of Excel, which I cover in my dashboard course, and you'll find a link to it in the video description. All right, let's take a look. We'll start with the data, which is in this table here. And if we look on the Table Design tab, you can see the table is called Stock. It's got 20 rows of data, which is just a small sample to illustrate the concept. Of course, you can reference a much larger table. I'm going to build the scroll and sort table here beside my data so you can see it in context, but in practice, you'd put the data on a separate sheet. I've already got the headers for my scroll and sort table in place just to save some time. Now I'm going to use Option button form controls to allow the user to select the sort order and column to sort by. So I'll insert them and we find them on the Developer tab. Now if you don't have the Developer tab, then you can activate it by right-clicking on the ribbon, Customize Ribbon, and then in here, make sure Developer is selected, and then it will appear in your list of ribbon tabs. The first thing we need to do is insert a group box, and we'll find it here in the top section for form controls, not the one down here under ActiveX. We want this one, and then I'm just going to hold down Alt, and that's going to allow me to snap it to the grid as I draw it in, and then we'll just make it a little bit smaller, and I'll give this group box a name. We'll call it Sort By. And I'll insert another group box for my sort order. Again, holding down Alt just to get a nice aligned box. This one is my sort order. Next, I'll insert the option buttons, and they're also on the Insert tab. And it's this one here under Form Controls. And I'm just going to left click and drag to draw them in. Now, it's essential that the buttons are completely enclosed in the group box. Otherwise, they won't be grouped. Now, I don't want a label for these buttons, so I'm just going to select the label and delete it. And that's my first button. I'm going to hold Control and left click to select it. And I'm just going to hold Control and Shift to copy the button. And we'll just copy it 4 times, 1 for each column. And let's repeat that for the sort order. Left click and drag to draw it in. Let's get rid of the label, and I'm just going to move this one over so that we've got room for the triangles that are going to tell us the direction. Let's copy that, holding down Control and Shift. So there's my 2 buttons for the sort order. Next, I need a scroll bar, and that's also in the form controls. It's this one here, and I'm just going to left click and drag to draw it in. We'll make it a little bit smaller or narrower. Okay, so there are my form controls ready to go, almost. The next thing I need to do is link the form controls to cells in the worksheet so that I can detect which option buttons are selected. So right-clicking on the button, Format Control, and then in here under the Control tab, I want to link it to a cell. So these are my sort bys. They're going to be linked to this cell here. I'll click OK. And at the moment, none of them are selected, so we can't see which one. So now with it selected, it returns 1. If I select the next one, it returns 2. And I haven't had to set up the others. Because they're in the group box, they're automatically linked to the same cell as the first button. Let's repeat that for these ones up here. So Format Control. These ones are going to be linked to this cell here. I'll click OK. And now we can see this is the first button and this is the second button. Alright, I'm just going to quickly align these buttons because it's bothering me that they're not centered. Okay, this one could probably go over a little bit further. Alright, I won't waste too much time on the formatting, you get the idea. Next thing I need to do is insert the symbols for the sort order, and you'll find these on the Insert tab of the ribbon, on the far right under Symbol. And you want Arial font and the subset Geometric Shapes. And you can see them here. So there's an up triangle and a down triangle. Just double click to insert them. Click Close. I'm just going to copy them to the clipboard and then Escape because I don't actually want them in that cell. I need them in a text box so that I can pop them up here beside the buttons. So I'm just drawing in the first text box, paste them in. Let's cut out the down arrow. That's it there in a text box. Let's go and get rid of the fill and the outline for this text box. So now it just appears to be part of the group box. And then Control and Shift to copy it across. And let's just select that triangle and we'll paste in the down one. Okay, so there are my up and down arrows for the sort order. Next I need to set up the scroll bar. Now this is a little bit different because it's got some more options. The current value is 0, that's fine. The minimum value is 0, that's fine. The maximum I want to be 10. So I only want it to scroll another 10 positions. I can increment by 1 and page change is 10, that's fine. The cell link will be this cell here. So click OK. And now when I scroll, you can see it increments by 1 if I click the end, and if I click in the middle of the bar, it's going to jump 10 positions or to the end, depending on where I am in the position of the scroll bar. All right, let's name these cells just to make them easier to reference. So this is order, and we just type the name in the name box. This is sort by, and we'll just call this one scroll. And we're ready to write the formula. So in this cell here, we're going to index, and I want to index a sorted table. So we'll use sort to return the stock. And I'm going to sort it based on the sort by option, which is displayed in the cell called sort by. And then ascending or descending is determined by the button that's selected. And you can see currently the descending is selected, and that's returned the button number 2. Now the problem I have here is I need a 1 for ascending and a -1 for descending. So I need to change the 2 to a -1. And I can use choose to do this for me. So we're going to use the choose function, and the index number is going to be whatever's selected in the radio button. And value 1. So if 1 selected, that's ascending, we want a 1. And if 2's selected, we want a -1. So close my choose formula, close sort, and the next is which row number. Well, I want a series of rows returned, so I can use sequence to return a series of 10 numbers. I want a 10 row table. How many columns? 1 column. The start number, well, that will depend on the scroll position, +1, because the scroll position starts at 0. And we want our numbers to start at 1, so we're going to add 1. And then we're going to step it by 1 at a time. So that's going to give me a list of 10 numbers that start at the scroll position +1 and increment by 1. And then lastly, I want all 5 columns returned. So I'm going to insert an array of numbers 1 through 5. Close the curly brace, close index. When I press enter, it's going to spill the results to populate the table because it's a dynamic array formula. So there's my scroll and sort table. Now if I select a different column to sort by, you can see it updates. And likewise, I can change the sort order, and it's all connected. The icing on the cake will be some conditional formatting to highlight which column it's sorted by. So selecting the table, conditional formatting, new rule. Here I want to use a formula, and here I'm going to say, does the sort by number equal? Now I need to return a number for each of these columns, so I'm just going to use the column function linked to cell A1, no absolute referencing. Because it's relative, it's going to check each column. So this is going to return 1, and then for the next column it's going to return 2 because it's going to be column B1 and C1 and so on. The format, let's just apply a fill color in a pale blue. I'll click OK and OK. So currently the first column is the one it's sorted by. Then as we select different columns, you can see the conditional formatting updates. And I can click on the scroll bar to move through the records in the table. Now we can spend a little bit of time realigning some of these buttons so that they're more centered over the column header, but that's cosmetic really. Now there's a tutorial on conditional formatting with formulas in the video description that explains in more detail how Excel works in the background that you might find helpful if this isn't immediately obvious. I hope you found this tutorial useful. You can download the Excel file containing the example for this lesson from the link here, and if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. And why not share it with your friends who might also find it useful. Thanks for watching.